Sila, Bhavana, right? Dana, Sila, Bhavana. So this evening our topic will be on Bhavana. Hmm? Hmm. What is Bhavana? Okay. The very common word that people associate with this term is meditation. The word Bhavana. Meditation, or more appropriately, we use the term mental culture, to cultivate, to culture the mind. And this morning we have outlined the important factors which comprises of Bhavana, or Bhavana comprise of three important path factors, three of the eight noble paths, the Noble Eightfold Path. Three of such factors are important in the developing of our mind. And what are they? Right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So in fact, the whole of Bhavana, the whole teachings, the concept of mental culture can be explained in these terms, in terms of right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And we have explained right effort in terms of four kinds of effort. What are the four kinds of effort? Yes, that's right. That is reading from your notes. You must know it. You must be able to recall what you have heard, what you have learned, to be able to recall them. These are the four efforts. Firstly, to prevent unwholesome thoughts from arising in the mind. If there are no unwholesome thoughts in your mind, you need an effort to maintain that the pure mind, so that the unwholesome thoughts does not arise in the mind. If unwholesome thoughts has already arisen in the mind, in spite of your trying to prevent it, then you need another effort, another kind of effort to overcome those unwholesome thoughts that have already arisen in the mind. Then the third effort is the effort with regards to developing the good that is not there, to develop good thoughts in your mind, to arouse good thoughts in your mind. And if this habit of arousing good thoughts is not there in your mind, then you should try to cultivate, try to learn how to cultivate, how we can cultivate good habits so that we can arouse good thoughts in our mind again and again. Then, if we have already got good thoughts in the mind, how to maintain it? That is the fourth. So, the first two effort, right effort, is with regards to avoiding evil. The second two, the third and the fourth right effort, pertains to the doing good. Hmm? Can you remember these? First, try to remember, then you can apply it in your day-to-day life. Hmm? Like now, for instance, you have to become aware of the state of your mind, whether there are any unwholesome thoughts in your mind. But the chances are, if you have that interest in the Dhamma and you listen to the Dhamma attentively, then these unwholesome thoughts are not there. But whether you are able to maintain this state of mind, for how long you are able to maintain it, this you require effort. Because after listening a little while, and then you begin to think of what happened just now during the day, or else your habit, the bad habit, arises, and want to doze off, or the pen, the hand want to do something, and then start drawing, So these are all the distractions. So your mind is distracted. So when there is distraction, you need effort to bring back again your attention to what you are doing. Now you are listening. So try to pay your attention just to listening, and then you will be able to associate what you hear with what you have read, what you have learned, and then you'll be able to put things together and understand the concept, understand those words, the meaning of those words, and relate it. Whatever we understand, whatever we learn, we should try to relate it to our day-to-day life, how we can apply it in our day-to-day life. And don't wait until to apply tomorrow, now. Now, we relate it to the present. So, these are the 4 right efforts, and to prevent unwholesome thoughts from arising in the mind. And what are these unwholesome thoughts? Now you are very clever. So you don't you don't give me that kind of answer you gave in the morning. When I ask you what are unwholesome thoughts, you say bad thoughts. What are bad thoughts? You say dirty thoughts. And what are dirty thoughts? You say very bad ones. That is not. You must be able to recognize these unwholesome thoughts when they arise. And if you study Abhidhamma, and there are mentioned all the different kusala and akusala mental cetasikas. Cetasika means the mental factors. Mental factors like craving in the mind, anger, hatred, delusion. These are unwholesome mental factors, and they are root causes. Then arising, conditioned by these root causes, there arise the other defilements of jealousy, envy, and macharya, that is stinginess. And a host of others, unwholesome mental factors that arise arises in the mind. So become aware that there are these unwholesome mental factors that are present in the mind. And with your mindfulness, you know how to overcome them? How do you overcome them? Now you know. Use Buddho, Buddho, Buddho to overcome them. And be, in other words, awaken yourself to what is present now. Be awake and free your mind from those unwholesome mental factors. That's how you'll be able to prevent and to overcome. And in order to overcome certain unwholesome thoughts in the mind, sometimes the unwholesome thoughts is very strong, because you have been feeding it for a long, long time. Not only this lifetime, but many, many lifetimes already. Like what? Your desire for certain taste. When you eat the food, you must have certain kind of taste, right? And so you have been feeding this desire for certain tasty food. And when you do not get it, then what happens? You get aversion. Aversion arises in the mind, no? And then this aversion, this mental factor, when it arises, what does it condition? When aversion arises, it conditions especially when you are looking at the food, when you are eating that. And when aversion arises, then that state of mind conditions the body. Some stress and tension arises in the body. So your stomach, the walls of the stomach also becomes affected, gets under stress. And then it is no wonder after that you find that no appetite. No appetite. So that is why we practice the contemplation on food. And when we contemplate on food, we think of the purpose of eating, why we eat this food. And also we have gratitude, we have metta, we give metta to all those who have provided this food. Then you take this food as medicine so that you can maintain your health, and you can use this to develop your knowledge, understanding, and develop and strengthen your mind. That is what the food is for. And so by now you have got used to people putting food all in one plate. Get used to it. And because some people, when people put everything in one plate, they get upset because they say, how to eat it. Even during the time of the Buddha, the first time, how the Buddha tells us of his experience, relate his experience. When he was a prince there in the palace, he had all the servants and all the to serve him, and with all the different dishes. But when he renounced and he took the bowl and to collect food, Huh? And in different places, people just put in whatever food you can imagine what kind of food he receives. Some people put in rice, some people put in some curry, huh? And I do not know whether they have ice cream or not, and they put in ice cream, huh? Or whatever it is, they put in the bowl. Hmm? And then he goes back and he sat under the tree. He said, when he first looked at the food in the bowl, all mixed up like that, he felt like vomiting, he said. But when he began to contemplate and think of the purpose of food, that the body needs food for one purpose. So when he turned his attention, then he said, when I realized the purpose of eating, then I began to eat. And the aversion and the kind of unpleasant feeling disappeared. Slowly goes away. So this is how proper contemplation, when you have proper contemplation, right contemplation, you will be able to remove those unwholesome, those disturbing thoughts in the mind. So he eats it. When you have a sense of gratitude to those who provide food for you, then what happens is gratitude is a purifier of the mind. And then when your mind is purified, good thoughts there, and your body is relaxed, so you can eat more. And you can digest properly, the food can be digested properly. But when you have tension and anger and dislike for this, dislike for that, that is how we develop certain allergies, allergies. Some people are allergic to certain food, because of the aversions. And because of this allergy, it can result in certain skin disease or certain other kinds of sicknesses. So proper contemplation will help us to avoid and to overcome certain unwholesome thoughts in the mind. Then to arouse good thoughts, to develop the good thoughts, that is why we have to relate it to our practice, day-to-day practice, from the time you get up in the morning and you recall to mind of the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. Thinking of the Buddha, the great qualities of the Buddha, you should try to remember those verses like Itipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho and so on, and try to understand what they are, because these are the verses which summarizes the great qualities of the Buddha, the virtues of the Buddha. And when we recall to mind these great virtues of the Buddha, then what happens is, when we think of these virtues, then our thoughts naturally, good or bad, this is how we arouse good thoughts in the mind. And when we pay our homage, our reverence, when we think of the Buddha as one who has purified, who has, when you think just of the word Arahant, Samma Sambuddho, when you think of Arahant, he is a worthy one. Who is the worthy one? One who is free from greed, hatred and delusion. And when you look Is it easy for you to overcome your greed, anger, and the delusion in the mind? Huh? And you see how difficult it is. So when you think of one who has overcome and through his own efforts he has purified himself, then you think of that, you will get the kind of confidence that what man has done, man can do. What others he has done, you too can do. So you develop that kind of confidence in the mind. And not only that, a sense of gratitude that the Buddha has lived and has, that through his, from life to life, practicing the perfections, undergoing various kinds of problems, difficulties, sacrifices, in order to teach, in order to help others to overcome their sufferings. So when we think like that, we have a sense of gratitude in our mind. When these thoughts arises in our mind, then this is how we arouse good thoughts in the mind. Develop the good thoughts in the mind. Otherwise, the good thoughts not so easy for us to arouse in the mind. That is why we have this practice of morning sitting and chanting, the morning chanting. We recall to mind, we chant those, all the qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha. Of course, in the beginning you may not understand what they are, but after some time, after you have learned them, and then you try to understand the meaning, and while you recite, the idea will come up in your mind, the thoughts will arise in the mind. When these thoughts arise in the mind, good thoughts in the mind, when you have good thoughts in the mind, you will be happy. The mind will naturally become calm and peaceful. And all the restless and unwholesome thoughts will begin to disappear in the mind. That is how to develop this good habit again and again. Then to maintain the good. How can you maintain the goodness that is in you? What is the most important factor there? The factor of mindfulness. It is only through mindfulness, only through right mindfulness, right attention that you give to the mind, that you will be able to maintain the goodness, what is there. So these are the 4 efforts. Every time, even now, what you are doing now, after listening a little while, your mind goes somewhere else, right? And you need effort to bring back again to it, right? To develop this attention, this mindfulness, to keep your mind alert. That is right effort. That is an effort. But if your mind goes out and you think of something else, go out, and you go and cling, jump from one to another, and only your body is here, your mind is somewhere else, and you don't make an effort to bring back your mind. If you keep on doing this again and again, this is how it's difficult to develop your concentration. But if you keep on practicing to pay attention and bring back again your attention again and again, this is how you develop mindfulness. And where there is mindfulness, this mindfulness will condition right concentration to arise in the mind. So we come to the next factor which makes up of mental culture, and that is right mindfulness. And this is very important. What is right mindfulness? Here, when we talk about right mindfulness, we talk about certain foundations by which our mind should make a basis out of these foundations, the four foundations of mindfulness. When our mind dwell on these things, these four things, then we will be able to arouse our mindfulness. And what are the four foundations of mindfulness? Can you remember? Four foundations of mindfulness. Foundations. Four. First, mindfulness on the body. Or in Pali it is kaya. Body is kaya. Kayanupassana. That means the contemplation on the body. Kayanupassana. Then second one is feelings. Contemplation on feelings. Vedananupassana. The third is mind. To contemplate on the mind or the state of the mind, mental states. It is called Chittanupassana. We just use one word for you to remember. Chitta means mind. Then the fourth one is mental factors. Here, Dhammanupassana. Mental objects. Mental objects. Kaya. Oh yes. Because Rupa is also body, form. But here we are referring to this body itself. Body. Right. Kayanupassana. Kayanupassana is the contemplation on the body. Vedananupassana, the contemplation on feelings. Chittanupassana, contemplation on the mind or the states of the mind, mental states. And Dhammanupassana, contemplation on Dhamma, mental objects. Now we will have to explain one by one so that you can understand how we can turn our attention, how can we develop our mindfulness. Firstly, on the body. There are different ways by which we can develop, we can arouse our awareness on the body. How many ways? There are? You have last year's notes, is it? There are 6 ways mentioned in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. If you want to check up the name of the sutta with regards to the development of mindfulness, it is called Satipatthana Sutta. Satipatthana Sutta. Sati is mindfulness. Patthana, to arouse, the arousing of mindfulness, the development of mindfulness, the discourse on the arousing of mindfulness, how you can arouse your mindfulness. And through these foundations, through these bases, the body, feelings, mind, mental objects. Now, how do you arouse mindfulness on the body? 6 ways are mentioned. What are these 6 ways? Do you want me to write? Then we have, no? Which one should we remove? Yes, these are the 6 ways by which 6 aspects of mindfulness on the body. First one is mindfulness on the breath of the body. Secondly, posture of the body, bodily posture. Thirdly, we can also contemplate the body through its basic elements, the 4 basic elements. Then, the clear comprehension of all the bodily activities. And we can divide this body into 32 parts and then contemplate one by one. And also, we can also contemplate the body through the 6, or it's actually 9 stages of decomposition of the body. That's what we call 9 cemetery contemplations. Now, let us see one by one. The first one is the contemplation on the breath. You know what? Breathing in and out. Do you know how to breathe in and out? You have been breathing in and out since you were born. But do you really know how to breathe in and out? Or are you aware when you breathe in and out? Are you aware of the breath? There you are. You know what happened when you breathe in and out? Do you know the process? When you breathe short breath, long breath, do you know that it is long or short breath? Yes. Let me find out whether you really know. Now when you breathe a short breath, what happens? Can you describe the process? How do you recognize a short breath? You feel the abdomen. What happens to the abdomen? Rise, and it falls, right? Our audience may not know, You can try. Why don't you try? Put your hand around the abdomen and purposely breathe short. Take short in breath and short out breath, like this. Can you smell? Short one, not the long one, just short one. And then just feel just above the navel, the abdomen. Then you will find the abdomen move up and down. Right? Now, take deep breath. Again, hold and watch. Now, how do you feel? How do you, what happens? You observe carefully how first the abdomen, you observe it as if it is rising, and then it falls. And as it falls, the chest expands, come up. That is how you see the long breath. There you are. Never mind, you try. because some people's stomach different one. But if you observe carefully, then you will be able to recognize when it is a long breath, when it is a short breath. And then you can understand. When you breathe in short breaths, what is the state of your mind? Normally, when you are angry, when there are lustful thoughts in your mind, craving in your mind, and anger, what happens to your breath? You breathe in short or long? Short breath. That is why, like that. And you get angry. There's short breath in the mind. And the mind is gross. But when you are calm, there is no anger. No. Your breath is long breath. And that is how you can learn and see the relation between your breath and the state of mind. And so what happens is when there is the disturbance in your mind, tension, there is anger or certain other emotional thoughts in the mind, then to calm down yourself, you just take a few deep breaths and hold it and breathe in, breathe out, watch the breath. And when the breath becomes long, then your body also become more composed like that. So you can purposely condition the mind to make the mind calm by observing the breath. That is why the Buddha recommends this method. And the Buddha used this method because this breath, it is a common method, and it is harmless method. Everyone, you cannot say that your breath is better than my breath. I cannot say my breath is better than your breath. So that is why this object of meditation is neutral. It is neutral. But if I give you a kind of sound for you to meditate on, right? I give you a sound in the form of mantra. And some sound, the quality of some sound is better. So you can go on and say, this sound is better. And then you say, no, this one is better. But breath, you cannot fight over it. But still, there are different methods of observing the breath. Different variations, how we can observe the breath. And anyway, this breath of the body, it is the most important thing. If we don't have food and don't have water for 1, 2 days, 3 days, can you live? You want to try? Tomorrow we try out. And yes, you can try later on that even without food, without water, you can still live for a few days. But without breathing in and out for a few minutes, no need 1 hour. Can you live? Cannot live. Cannot live. That is why it is importance of the breath, right? The breath of the body, the breath of the body. And how do you, the meditation on breath is called Anapanasati. Hmm? You want to take down this word? It is called Anapanasati. Say. No sati. Sati. Anapanasati. That's right. Here, Anapanasati means breathing in and out. Breathing out and breathing in. So you just watch the out and in breath. In and out breath. Just observe that. And be aware. Know. While you breathe in and out, be aware of that. And this is how you can calm down your mind. That is the first method of how you can develop your mindfulness on the body. Through this, when you develop mindfulness on the body, on the breath, you will be able to understand or to become more aware of your feelings, the state of mind, and the Dhamma. Then the second aspect, to observe, to be mindful on your bodily postures. What are the bodily postures? There are 4 main body postures. What are the 4 body postures? Sitting, standing, lying, walking. What about running? Not body posture. What about crawling? Not body posture. Who says so? The body postures are this. Last time also I taught only walking only. But then later I realized that sometimes we need to run. Sometimes we need to walk very fast. That is also a body posture. Why? Mindfulness, we should train our mindfulness, not only moving slowly. Even when we move fast, we can be mindful that we move fast. When you walk fast, be mindful that you are walking fast. No? And when you travel, when you start traveling and you want to catch buses and trains, then you cannot afford to say, walking, mindful, left, right, Buddha, slowly. You must walk sometimes fast, but be mindful too. So, the 4 body postures are these. One is standing, then sitting, standing, and instead of walking, we say going posture. Going or moving posture, right? So whether you crawl or creep or walk or run, it is a going posture, and moving posture and lying, sleeping posture. So these are the 4 main body postures. How do you develop your mindfulness on sitting? How do you observe this sitting posture? Yes. Feel the touch of your body on the seat. And use more pleasant words. You feel the touch that the body makes, the point of contact. How your body comes into contact with the seat, and you can feel the points of contact, and then you can also feel how the uprightness. That is how you observe the sitting posture, the point of contact that your body makes with the seat. Whether it is on the chair or on the ground, observe that. So you are mindful, and also you are mindful of the balance of the body. and so that there is no stress. If you observe this body posture carefully, you will become more and more aware when tension arises. Sometimes you sit in the car and because especially if the driver, you don't have so much confidence in the driver, so you look, you watch the other car, you are also driving, back seat driver, watch and see the car, and tension arise. You observe, when you see the car, you also start braking. Your leg and your whole body tense up. If you have learned how to observe the body, immediately you can see the stress, the tension coming up. Then you can just tell yourself, relax, relax. Then you just relax yourself. That's how it is useful to observe this, to train the mind to see the body posture, so that you can keep yourself relaxed and no need to tense up like that. Then the next one is the 4 elements, the basic bodily elements of the body. What are these elements of the body? 4 basic elements. Everything we talk about 4 tonight. 4 basic elements. What are they? Earth element, water element, fire element, and wind element. Please remember these 4 elements. Prithvi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. First is Prithvi. Say Prithvi. Prithvi refers to earth. When you talk earth element, then we add the word Dhatu. Prithvi Dhatu is earth element, or just the earth, Prithvi. Then Apo. That one is easy because there's some people who name Apo also, no? Apo means water, water element. Then Tejo, not Teo, Tejo, Tejo. Tejo is fire element. And Vayu. Vayu. Because you see the V, in Indian languages, the V is pronounced as W. They don't pronounce V, they pronounce W. They don't say, when you say take the bus, they say take the was. So when you see the V, that sometimes it is interchangeable with W. You pronounce it as hair, yes, some more. All the solid parts of the body, only solids. What is the nature of solid? Hardness. But it can also be softness, no? Hardness and softness. That is the characteristic of earth element. But there is a strong characteristic, is hardness. The weak characteristic is softness. Now, if you go a little bit deeper to analyze these earth elements, into its basic elements, you find that this body is eventually made up of certain atoms and molecules of earth elements. Like what? Those who study science will know this. What are they? What are the predominant elements in the body? Earth element. Protein. Earth element lah. You know protein. When you say protein, then the protein is a combination of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. You say protein, then the protein is a combination of Protein is a combination of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. And that is why when you take too much protein, what happens? This nitrogen compound, combined with the hydroxyl ion, you get the ammonium. And that is how the smell. So, of course, you need protein. And oxygen, hydrogen, they are not the earth element. The real earth element is carbon. So the main component of our body, earth element, is carbon. Do you believe? If not, you go and watch next time when you go and see the burial ceremony, cremation. When they burn the body, eventually what do you see? You see charcoal, carbon. That's right. So everything what you eat has got carbon. The bread, the starch, all have carbon element. Then, besides that, there are calcium, the bones, calcium, phosphorus, iron. Have you got iron in your body? Where do you find the iron in the body? In your blood cells, in the hemoglobin. Then you have the iron component. So all these are the earth elements of the body, right? But the property of earth elements, the property is this, that you can when we say contemplate on earth elements, what do you contemplate on? What do you contemplate on? Contemplate on the solid parts of the body, right? Like the hair, the nail, the teeth, bones, and so on, right? We'll come to that when we come to the 32 parts of the body. So now you know the basic elements. Water elements of the body. Example, the blood is fluid, water. What is the characteristic of water element? How do you experience water element? In terms of what? You experience the earth element in terms of hardness. When you sit long time, certain parts of your body become very stiff. Then that is the manifestation of earth element. Water element. How do you know that it is water element? Fluidity. How do you experience fluidity? How do you experience wet? These are all words, understand? But when there is wet, how do you experience it? How do you experience flow? Uneasiness. What is that uneasiness? Still, where all your science knowledge have gone to? All these scholars here, young scholars, hey, where is your physics and chemistry? It is what? Cohesion. Don't you know cohesion? That is how you explain. You use the word wet. But how do you experience wet? Just now when you sit down and they close the door, then you begin to perspire. You begin to sweat. How do you know that you have perspired? That's right. Your robes begin to cling to the body. Right? That is how you know, now my robes are wet now. because you can feel. Then after a little while you get the stickiness. That is the characteristic of the water element. It clings, stickiness, cohesion. That is the main characteristic of water element. Cohesion, Cohesion. What is the Malay word? Melekat. Yes, melekat, yes. You remember the, what you call when you study science, huh? You remember this? Huh? Mercury and water. Water has the what? What meniscus? Concave or convex? Concave. It because it clings to the sides. It clings. It has that cohesion. On the other hand, mercury, convex. So if you play with mercury, it does not wet your clothes, isn't it? Because it has that property. It does not stick to the glass. It does not stick to this. But water clings. You know, if there is no water in the body, you know what happens? When the wind blows, then all the elements just fly away like that. So the water helps to bind up. It is the bond. It binds the other elements of the body together. How much water do you have in your body? Some people have 75, some people have a bit more. Some people have a bit less also. But about 70-75% of our body composed of water element. Then, now, fire element. You have fire in your body? The fire element here is what you call the heat element. Heat element. How much heat have you got in your body? 37 degrees Celsius. How many degrees Fahrenheit? 98.4 something degrees Fahrenheit. Yes, she says depend also. Some people got more temperature. When they are angry, when fever, temperature rises. So now you know the heat element in your body. The temperature. Then next one is Vayu Dhatu, the wind element. Do you know the wind element in your body? What is the wind element? No. There? Hey, what happened to you? Breathing. Breathing what? Air. What is air? Oxygen only? Then? That's right. Now you must learn all these things, no? The air in the body, when we talk about the air, we talk about the gaseous element. In other words, all the gases in the body. What kind of gases are in the body? Oxygen, when we breathe in. But at the same time, there is also carbon dioxide. Tamil? There are also some other oxides and sulfides. No? And that is why, sometimes you get the smell because of some other oxides and sulfides. No? So these are the different gases in the body. When you breathe in and breathe out, when you eat the food, do you know that you are not alone eating your food? You know that? Who else are eating the food? You are in fact sharing the food with many other beings. Right? You know how many beings you share the food with? You do not know. Some people have various kinds of worms inside. Yes. Big one, long one. Have you seen? You have not seen? Looks like, kway teow like that, strand. That's what you call the flatworm. And some looks like meat strand. But both ends are sharp. Oh, very big one, and they go round like that. While you are eating, they also eat. They also are happy. And they can grow, and they turn round there. If not, there are some bacteria, no? The bacteria. But some bacteria are our good friend, no? Good one. They help to break down the food so that you can absorb the nutrients. That is why sometimes when you take antibiotic, these good bacteria also die. No? The bad ones die, the good ones also die. So when the good ones die, you feel weak. The after effect of antibiotics, the body will feel weak because the good bacteria also die. Then whatever you eat, you cannot fully absorb. The nutrients, the absorption, cannot absorb because nobody to break down those bugs. Those bacteria help to break down. So please have metta also for those bacteria and tell them, do your job. So when you eat, tell them, now do your job so that break down properly so that I can absorb the maximum with maximum efficiency. Yes? Of course, if you see the bacteria and you tell, now drop these things, then you kill. But the thing is that you take it, but you do not see it, no? Directly, you don't intentionally kill it. So anyway, you don't go to the extreme also. But there are some people, those who want to develop their mind, they will try to abstain as far as is possible. As far as possible. No? And so now, the wind element. Where are the wind element? Mostly in your body. Stomach. Only? You forgot all the anatomy. Lungs has got the most wind in the body. Right? Stomach too have got wind. But now have some wind in your stomach, I think. Because a lot of food have already gone down to the intestine. Small intestine, large intestine, and so on. So now the stomach have got some space there. And that space, there is air in there. And then tomorrow when you take breakfast and you're hungry, you take quickly. Then what happens? Then the air is displaced. When the air is displaced, it has only two ways to come out. Either go down or come out. That's how you belch. Like that. If you take too fast, or you take too much also, then you belch because the movement of the air. So now you can become aware how the air, the stomach, comes up, go down, the lungs, air, and later on you'll be able to become aware of small places where the wind element is being trapped. Because, when there are bacteria, when there are certain infection in the body, there are bacteria. Then the bacteria, while you breathe in and out, the bacteria also breathe in and out, right? So they breathe in oxygen, they breathe out carbon dioxide. So certain carbon dioxide, they build up certain what you call gases in certain parts of your body, and they block the flow, the flow of your blood, the circulation, and that is how you get sick. And when you go to the Chinese Sensei and they touch here, they say, they know there is a lot of wind. Here there is a lot of wind means that this wind can be due to certain infection, certain bacterial infection, which builds up and deposits certain gases in certain some pockets here and there. And that is how pain arises, because when the wind element gathers, then it presses against the capillaries, then the blood circulation cannot circulate properly, the pain arises. Okay, so now that is how you see, now you understand what Buddhism is about. Buddhism, when you study Buddhism carefully and you develop your mindfulness and awareness, you become mindful of what? You understand, you begin to understand yourself. You begin to understand the body, you begin to understand the mind. No? So now, when you understand these elements in the body, then when you are aware of these elements, then you will be able to maintain a balance of them. When these elements are not in balance, then we lose our health. Ill health arises due to the imbalance of these elements. So there must be balance. Then the next one is bodily activities, or clear comprehension of bodily activities. Whatever you do, whatever the body function, whatever you do, to be aware of it. Here it says, whatever bodily activities. Now, sometimes you are stretching, bending, you look forward, you look sideways, look backwards. Also become aware. When you are eating, drinking, answering the call of nature, all to be mindful, to be aware of that. These are what all the bodily activities, to train the mind to become aware, so that when you are bathing, your mind is not somewhere else. When you are eating, the mind is not in the kitchen, still trying to get some more good food for yourself. Train the mind to be aware of what the bodily activities. Then, the 32 parts of the body. How many parts do you have in your body? So why we say only 32 parts? Because during the time of the Buddha, there was science there. Indian medical science during the time of the Buddha have analyzed the body into 32 parts according to the solid and the liquid parts. How many solid parts? How many? I think 12 solid parts and 20 solid parts and 12 liquid parts of the body. Do you know all these parts of the body? Ah, there is a formula. Huh? There is a formula. Starting from the hair of the head. You should know at least 5. What are the 5? Come, quick. Kesa, Loma, Naka, Danta. Oh, very good. Now you know at least 5. What are these 5 elements? These are which one? Patavi, Apo, Tejo, or Vayu? All of them belong to Patavi Dhatu. Right? So if you want to contemplate on earth element, then you contemplate on you can start contemplating on the hair element, solid element. No? And it is through this contemplation on the earth element, that is how you can develop your concentration. And you can develop the mind, the mental power too. How? You know, you have heard how some people develop their mind and they can walk through the world. Huh? Yes, that fellow who walked through the Great Wall of China. Huh? Not only that, in fact, there are quite a few people who have walked through the wall. No? How do they walk through the wall? It is through the contemplation on earth element. They develop their mind. They concentrate on what you call kasina, earth kasina, Patavi kasina. They keep on concentrating that the body is made up of these solid elements. And then they condition that these are the elements in my body. The world has also got these elements, right? Because the world is also made up of these earth elements, the earth elements. So the mind conditioned and says that the earth element is my body also earth element. So let me pass through this element. So they just walk through. Don't try, huh? And because until your mind has developed, otherwise sometimes halfway through, you lose the concentration. When the concentration suddenly, that is why if the mindfulness is not strong, suddenly the mind is disturbed, They're having cases where certain areas where they found skeleton in there, halfway in the middle, because obviously it must be, some monks or somebody who tried to go through and got stuck in the middle. No? So be careful. And there are these elements. When you study these elements and develop this element, those who develop their concentration on water element, on a hot day, you can just take one bowl of water and look at the bowl of water and just concentrate. Apo, apo, apo. And the quality of coolness, and Thursday my body too is just like this water element, water, and then you feel very cool and water cool down. So when you are very hot, and in that way, and those who develop further, they can even go into the water and remain for a long time without any gears. They can just become like fish, like that, because they have conditioned their mind to make it fluid, and so they just flow along with that element. Similarly, the wind element. Those you have heard of some stories how those people can appear and disappear. Or levitation takes place. Due to this, they concentrate on the wind element, and then they can just go through the air. Now these things they are not any miracles. It is just when you begin to understand the real nature of things, and you can turn your mind to flow with nature, then you develop these abilities, right? And Vayu Dhatu, Tejo Dhatu, fire element, can concentrate on fire, and you can also breathe out. You can project fire, light also. We know one monk who every day he contemplates on fire, and he puts in a bowl. There is what you call his begging bowl. One bowl, everything what people gives him, he puts into the fire, offer to the Buddha, offering, because he wants to practice detachment. He puts it in the fire. Then one day, one Chinese man came. Because this monk has his virtues, and obviously they have gone and to make certain wish, and the wish has been fulfilled. So this man came for Thanksgiving and brought a gold chain to offer to the monk. Then in front of this man, the monk took and put in the fire, put in the bowl. This man got really very angry, and he says, I gave you this expensive thing and you put inside the bowl. Then the monk realized his state of mind, and he says, don't worry, you go back. You can go back now. Then angrily he went back. When he went back home, he found the gold chain there lying on the bed also. And because this mind he can dissolve it, and he can also put it back together. And it is not magic. In India there is one place around in Rishikesh. I have heard at certain time of the year they have a competition. Those yogis will compete and see, and so some will develop the fire kasin, and they will create fire. Another one will, show. So one day what happened was, this yogi, one Indian yogi, he has spent long time in concentrating and developing his meditation and how to create fire on Tejo Kasin. So he breathed out fire. Then one Buddhist monk, actually he's still living now, old monk, now, and he also has developed this thing. So he saw that man, yogi blow out. Then he blew out water and put out the fire. You see, and so there are these kind of things happening also, and because there are some monks who have developed this power, but they have not purified their mind, so they still cling to the powers. But there are some who have developed all these powers, but they don't cling to these powers. They don't show off these powers. Those who show off to these powers, we know that they are still not, because they cling to these powers. But those who have developed it without clinging, sometimes because their mind is in that state of mind, sometimes while they are walking, their mind is in a concentrated state of mind, then the body just multiplies itself. And when you take photograph, you can see a few bodies coming out from that one. No? It is not a camera trick, because if you look at the picture carefully, you can see the car there. But the car, there is no multiple image. Only the body can distinct, because the body can project. This is how, when the mind can create bodies also. And this is certain iddhi. We call it manomaya iddhi. And all this developed through the development of the mind, through concentration. No? And we'll talk the different kinds of iddhis, later on when we talk about the right concentration. And so the 32 parts of the body, when you contemplate, from the hair of the head, hair of the body, nail, and what you call teeth, skin, and you go very systematically. These are the first 5 parts of the body. At the most, you look at one another. At the most, you see these 5 parts of the body. At the external, the surface. And they are all dead cells. You realize that? Your hair, dead cells. Although you play around with the dead cells, you turn and twist and curl and perm it, comb front, comb back, comb, and all sorts of things. What are you doing? You are only dealing with dead bodies, dead cells. No? Then even the hair on the body, they are dead cells. The nail, dead cells. See, because people don't understand the nature of their body, so they try to make it look very beautiful. They polish it, they put all sorts of color, and now they even have necklaces, jewelry for the nail also, to make a nail look nice. The nature of the nail, if you look at it carefully, and when your nail is long, you look and see the nail, and you contemplate where the nail grows from, what is the color, and then smell a little bit, then you can understand the nature of the nail. Very nice? Very nice? Very beautiful? And if you take them out one by one, and then you can see the nature of it. So this is what we call contemplating the parts on the body. As you go in, goes into the flesh, the bones, in the bones, the bone marrows, and then still go to the different organs of the body. Can you imagine this body if you turn it inside out? No, not skeleton. Turn it inside out. Put the skin inside and all the other organs of the body outside. Can you imagine how it looked like? The lungs dangling out, right? The intestines there, very beautiful or not? Who will come to visit you? Flies. A lot of flies will come. But this is the nature of the body. This is the real nature of the body. So this contemplation helps you. When you contemplate on this body in this manner, it will help you to understand the true nature of the body. You see it, it is. Is it beautiful? Is it satisfactory? It is constantly decaying. And the smell. And the smell. That's why one day if you don't use water, if you don't clean one day, 2 days, 3 days, you get the stink. That's right. The smell. That is the nature of the body. And still you're going to cling to this body. You spend so much time, so much energy, so much money looking after this body, polishing it and dyeing it and cleaning up all sorts of things. Huh? What are you doing? To make the body look beautiful. In reality, when you start analyzing this body, you see its true nature. So, what is the purpose of dividing this body into parts? So that when you see the loathsomeness of the body, naturally the mind will not cling to the body. And this is how you can overcome lust, overcome the attachment to the body. It is because of our strong attachment to the body that a lot of suffering arises. No? When we are sick and we are afraid to die because we are afraid to lose this body. No? Because of the attachment, strong attachment to the body. So when we start contemplating like this is how slowly the mind will be able to become detached, and that is how we can separate very peacefully when the time comes. The mind and body separate very happily. That is what you call peaceful death, without clinging, without that kind of attachment. Right. The next one is 9 cemetery contemplation. This cemetery contemplation is actually to contemplate on the different stages of decomposition of the body. And have you seen a dead body? Have you seen? And how many days? First stage, when 3-4 days dead, how does it look like? Swollen, blue. Then, when it goes on a few weeks, what happens? All the water comes out here and there. Go on looking at this. And then you can understand the real nature of the body. That is how, you will give up that clinging to the body. Okay? So, these are the 6 aspects of the development, the arousing of mindfulness on the body, to understand the true nature of the body. When you look at the body, you say, oh, very beautiful, very handsome. When you start putting it into parts, then where is the beauty? So the notion of beauty is only in the mind. Only in the mind. The reality is not there. So, now, that is how. But when you want to develop your mindfulness, you just take one object. One object will do. Then the others, when you develop mindfulness on one thing, naturally your mindfulness, you will be able to become aware of the others. If you concentrate on the hair and see kesa, 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 when you can see the hair, then you will also be able to see all the other parts of the body. Now people don't have this kind of mind, this kind of ability to look in their bodies. So that is why, in order to study the bodies, they had to cut up other bodies. Right? But when you develop your mindfulness, the body, and develop the wisdom, the jnana, you can see inside. Your mind can become like X-ray, like that, and you can see these parts of the body, and can detect this part got growth, this part is like that. Detect those things through just the mindfulness in the body. And when you contemplate bones, then can observe the skeletal parts of the body. This is what you call the practice of mindfulness on the body. You remember that story once, one monk, he was contemplating, his object of meditation was bones, no? So all the time he was concentrating on bones, and look his body and then look at his head. When he visualized the head, he just observed, remove the skin, remove the flesh, and just leave the skull there, like that, and so on. Then one day he was walking in the forest, and one woman, after she had a quarrel with her husband, she, wanted to get out, run away from home. Now also people run away, isn't it? Wives run away. Sometimes they come to temple with all the what you call parang. And so this woman ran away. And on the way he saw this monk. She saw this monk walking. And she started to giggle, no? Because she's a very funny looking monk, no? Then when she giggled, this monk also, he said he was slightly distracted, and he looked. When he saw the woman, the first thing that he saw was what? Her. When she laughed, he saw her teeth. Immediately he sees the teeth, he focuses on the thought. Danta. That means teeth, bones. Then what happened? After a little while, the husband came running. And the husband looked around and saw the monk and said, "Sir, did you see my wife here? Did you see a woman passing by?" Then the monk says, "What woman?" "I saw one skeleton walking." I did not see any woman. But I saw one skeleton moving. Because that monk, his whole preoccupation was on bones. So he did not see the full thing. When he sees one thing, his mind focuses on and he sees the full bones. So next time, when you see bones, don't be afraid if your mind is in that state of mind. That is why, when I was in Singapore, and some people asked to put Buddha images in their home. And this was a businessman, businesswoman. Then one day, she had good business, so she was happy. So she came running to the temple and she says, Venerable, you know the Buddha that you installed in my house. I see the Buddha smiling today, Few days old, he smiled only. Then he asked me to come and see. I looked at the Buddha, of course. Said the Buddha smiled. And after 1-2 years, and recession, no business, Then this time she also come to temple and look up and says, Reverend, what to do now? Can you come? Because I see the Buddha now, not smiling and look very sour and how come? Yes, because her state of mind. Look at that. When she is happy, she look at the Buddha also happy. When she is not happy, depressed, she look at the Buddha also depressed, looking like that. So, how our state of mind can condition what we see. So, that is why when you meditate, whatever you see in your mind, don't cling to it. Let go, understand? Because what you see can be conditioned, very easily conditioned by your state of mind. And your dreams can also be easily conditioned by the state of mind. Unless you start to, when your mind is purified, when you are able to free your mind from greed, hatred, delusion, then you can trust what you see because they are the real nimitta that arises in a pure mind. Then you can see it's real. When you want to understand something, when you want to understand a person, you just think with a pure mind, then the image, the vision arises and you see what it is about. So that is the nimitta that arises in a pure mind. But until such time, you should not cling to this because they are all the time conditioned by your states of mind. Then, so now you understand the practice of contemplation on the body. There are these different contemplations of the body.